Welcome back. You have returned to our comics coffee table. Pull up a chair, grab a cuppa. Let's take a break. Leave the real world over there for just a couple of minutes in your day. If you're a comic book fan and you love comics as much as we do, you're fit. So come and join us. Pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, and we're going to spend a few minutes and take a break talking about comic books. We do this every day, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. And let's get to it. Here at the Comics Coffee Table, we use show notes. That's right. Pika here is my executive producer. Drinka here is my cameraman and mic boom operator. And, the Canadian Bear himself, Jay, is, our studio audience. Filmed live, pre-recorded live before a studio audience of stuffed animals. We are, this year, the show is about rebagging, reboarding, and reboxing my entire collection. While I'm doing this, I'm using these two books given to me by my parents for Christmas last year, so this season is dedicated to my parents. This is the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide, 52nd edition, most current, for 2002-2003. This is the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics, published in 2021, the 6th edition. And there are links in the description to these Amazon pages where you can get your own copies and play along at home. I figure since I'm, reboxing, reboarding, and rebagging my entire collection, I'm not only going to get a ballpark figure of how much my collection's worth, I'm getting my head around grading comic books. And I think that's a great idea. Oh, you and your punsel. Your punsel. Oh, you just quit it, please. I'm sorry. And so I'm taking this opportunity to learn more about my favorite hobby, my niche, little hobby here of being a monthly comic book collector, of floppies, of magazines. The coffee table is where my friends and I would always congregate. And there would always be a stack of movies, a stack of music, and a stack of books, and most especially a stack of comic books. And that's what we do here. We just meet up at the coffee table once a day, kick back, relax, and talk about some good funny books. And one of the missions of the show, if you've been paying attention to the show for a while, and we also get new viewers, so I believe in the power of comic book expository language. Like anytime you could pick up an uncanny X-Men, and you have Cyclops chiding Wolverine, saying, "Sheath your adamantium claws, Wolverine, you and your berserker rage." And, you would find that all the time, because there could always be a new reader jumping on at any issue. And so in that spirit, I go to my local comic book shop and I buy my supplies there. I'm not buying my supplies online. So I'm getting acid-free boards. Bags. I need to be getting Mylars, Mylite bags. They are 3 times the prices of these polypyrene bags. But, that's what my store has in stock, so that's what I'm buying. I want to help keep my mom and pop brick and mortar local comic book shops open as long as they can. The direct market is changing. The floppy could be changing. I've been a lifelong comic book fan my entire life. Didn't you just say that? Lifelong? Okay, I'm not going to overthink it, but what I'm going to do is take a sip. Because we got some talking to do, huh? Today on Let's Play, what is your t-shirt today, Sully? What is Spectre Module? Well, it's got 2 definitions. One is going to be about today's subject matter, Warren Ellis. See, this is warrenellis.com. This is from 2012. And Warren Ellis is one of my favorite comic book writers. And was very tuned into Warren Ellis for a long time. Still am. I love him, and I want him to write more and to be published. But he's got his own thing of dealing with cancellation and I hope he gets through it, and quickly too. The comic world needs Warren Ellis's writings. I'm a big fan. He was part of when me coming back into comics. I was introduced to Warren Ellis through a good friend of mine who stuck Transmetropolitan under my nose. And this is a really good science fiction. They call Warren Ellis a futurist. The first definition of spectrum module regarding this shirt here. See the little Sputnik? There's always some kind of there is a Soviet aspect to this. Spectrum module was a podcast, a music show, a music curation show Warren used to do, and I was tuned into it from the beginning. I liked it better when he would tell little anecdotes and stuff, and in between songs, kind of like a DJ, and he would play the most obscure European, sounds. It was a really unique radio show experience for me. And along the way, he stopped talking in the shows because he had something going on with his voice for a few years, and that's why he stopped it. He was but just his natural voice telling stories was just a wonderful thing in between these songs. And but Spectre Module, and I didn't know this, was a module for Spectre Module, meaning Spectre meaning spectrum. It was the fifth module of the old USSR, Soviet Union, Mir space station. The module was designed for remote observations of Earth's environment, containing atmospheric and surface research equipment. See that Spectre, yeah. It was launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in May 20th of 1995. It docked June 1st, 1995, and it re-entered the atmosphere on March 23rd, 2001. The end of that space odyssey. But yeah, Mir was one of the first manned space stations. Yeah, I love space. I love science fiction. And so does Warren Ellis. So he's a good fit for me as a comic book fan. He's known as a futurist. And I'm also clearing out my spinner rack. I'm curating my spinner rack to be a bit more refined, a bit lighter perhaps too, because I got some comic books packed into this thing, and it's kind of for show anyway. So I'm being very specific about what's going on my spinner rack. So I'm taking out a lot of stuff while I'm reboxing, reboarding, and rebagging. I am also archiving, so I'm going to be putting a lot of these things into to archive. And this is interesting. I'm looking in the book, and this is a This is Transmetropolitan, and the first issue of Transmet, if it's near mint 9.2, would be $85. Helix, it was a DC Comics imprint, kind of like Vertigo. This title would eventually go over to Vertigo, but DC was playing around with imprints, and Helix was a Vertigo for sci-fi stuff. I believe so. And let's learn a bit more about Transmetropolitan. Its lead character is a journalist with integrity in the future. But it has it predicts internet life and being internet celebrity. This is Spider Jerusalem, and hold on. I have an action figure. I've had an action figure of Spider Jerusalem for 20 years. It's in my it's on my meditation altar. He hangs upside down from a bronze gong, kind of like the Hanged Man in a tarot. But Transmetropolitan's a great story. 60 issues long. That's 5 years. A 5-year-long story. I think it's 10 or 11 trade paperbacks, and it's about the gonzo journalist Spider Jerusalem. Kind of like if when Rolling Stone magazine used to be cool meets meets the New York Times, he's like he goes for the truth, and he takes desperate, drug fueled, cigarette smoking, booze infected, gonzo journalism in that Hunter S. Thompson vein. Gonzo journalism, an embellishment with an unreliable narrator, yet the events of the story are mostly true, and but it's great. It's wacky. It's out there. It's vulgar. It's obscene, and it shows a really interesting future that's that seems to be we're getting into, and great art by Derek Robertson, who also did The Boys with Garth Ennis. You might know him from there. He's done a lot of different things with like trans species. So they found alien DNA on Mars and brought it back to Earth, and now you have trans species people. This Warren Ellis was like ahead of the curve. He's really ahead of the curve on a lot of things, like sci-fi wise. I take this off my spinner rack. We need to use, guys. Need new boards, bags. 5. There's only 4 here. Where's issue 1? Issue 1's got to be around here somewhere. Uh-oh. It's on the spinner rack. To the bat poles. Right where I left it. Cool. So here it is. 5 issues. Of a Warren Ellis story. Who is Warren Ellis? Would you like to know more? I'm going to read this from, you guessed it, the wiki. All right. Warren Gerard Ellis, born 16th February 1968, is a British comic book writer, novelist, and screenwriter. He is best known as the co-creator of several original comics series, including Transmetropolitan, which ran from 1997 to 2002, Global Frequency from 2002 to 2004, and Red, which was adapted into the feature films Red 2 and 3, which featured, Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren. It was about, retired assassins having a golden age, and it's good to see, older people working, He was a Marvel staple for a long time. He did the Iron Man Extremis story, which was the basis for Iron Man 3 and the MCU. And over on Wildstorm, he created The Authority. He wrote some really good comic books. He writes really good superhero comic books. He also did a few issues of Constantine Hellblazer. And he's definitely one of my favorite comic book writers. And Ellis is known for sociocultural commentary, both through his online presence and through his writing, which covers transhumanists, mostly nanotechnology, cryonics, mind transfer, and human enhancements, and folkloric themes. Yeah. He's a humanist and a former patron of Humanists UK, whatever that is. Let's see. I hope that's, the British Humanist Society. He's his early life, his career writing, and but he did these titles with for Avatar Press. He did a bunch of them, and I got a whole bunch of them. So Avatar they did their own press, so they have their own house ads. These I looked up in the book. Let's to the book. And I hope you're clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. Super God, Warren Ellis, Avatar Press, October 2009. $3.99. Cover price, if it had a 9.2, would be $4. Yay! But yeah, I didn't get these to yeah, it was on the spinner rack. So here's all 5 issues. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Crossed. This was terrible. See, Avatar does a lot of horror comic books too, and I stayed away from those ones. But this is Super God. This was a great concept of, like I said, Warren Ellis, futurist. He also is good at doing things like there will be a divergent moment in the past where and that's where the new universe kicks in at a certain point in our shared history. And this would be, instead of like a space race and a nuclear arms race, there was a superhero race. And it starts in medias res, after everything's all said and done, and the world's ended. But it starts off with an homage to the Fantastic Four. So the 3 astronauts that return after being subjected to all those like cosmic rays were fused into one super being, and that became and that was Britain's. And so Britain inadvertently started a space race. I mean, an arms race, but using super humans, post-humans. So the U.S. version is a $6 million man pastiche, and like different nations create different heroes, especially based. The older the culture, the more based in the cultural mythology of that place. Like India made Krishna, a version of Krishna, and then Krishna, thinking it's a god and having godlike powers, decides to do godlike things with a godlike conscious that there was a Middle Eastern superheroes, and there are Chinese superheroes and Russian superheroes, and it ends badly for humanity and the world. And it kind of says why, superheroes may not be a really good thing in our world. So it's really putting superheroes into a world like ours, not an idealized world. See, I think that every world in a superhero, every Earth in a superhero comic book, like DC's Earth Zero, or the Marvel 616, that is the proper Marvel universe where everything happens. I feel like those are idealized worlds, and quite possibly a utopia with dystopic notes to it to keep tension, to keep the story going. But I wouldn't see something like climate change, being a thing on a DC Earth when you have Swamp Thing. I wouldn't see inequities on these Earths, that they would have allegorical stuff, I guess you could, but I feel all of these fictional Earths, they're and then come the dystopia variants of that. So you think of your DC Earth Zero. I mean, I feel that's a utopia. They don't have the same problems. It's an idealized place. It's a simpler place. And it's a stage where these fantastic adventures can happen. And the more we intersect the real world into our fictional spaces, the less fun, the less they become. But this Super God, I love it because it shows what would happen if you put superheroes into our real world. They would destroy the world. They would. That would be the outcome. And this was great. I don't believe this is collected. I think this is into a trade paperback. It might be. Let's look it up. Super God trade paperback. Let's see. Oh, there is. Okay, volume 1. It's a graphic novel. And yeah. Praying to be saved by a man who can fly will get you killed. From Warren Ellis, the creator of The Authority and Planetary, comes the most horrifying superhero comic you'll ever read. When scientists built messianic superhumans to save the world, no one thought about how these heroes would do it, or even if they'd want to. So begins the apocalyptic tomorrow, when Superman kills us all and ends the world, just because we wanted to be rescued by human-shaped things from beyond science itself. Yeah, so there is a trade paperback for that. Oh, good. So yeah, you can pick that up. I'm looking at the Amazon page. And yeah, it's for $24.17. And these are four. So yeah, it's $5. It's $4.17 more than what this is all valued together at $4 per issue. Hey, I'll sell it to you for $20. How's that? Hit me up. Hit me up, bro. I'll send it to you in a Gemini mailer. But yeah, so Warren, he's I hope he gets his second chance or his next chance. I mean, I would love to read comic books written by him once again. He's fantastic. He's imaginative. He's great at his job. And yeah, and I hope he gets to reconcile whatever he has to reconcile. I mean, that's its own story in itself. That is a story for another day. Maybe tomorrow when we're going to talk a bit more about clearing out my spinner rack and putting these Warren Ellis stories into new bags, new boards, and new boxes. Let's get to that. All right, well, I'm going to be bagging and boarding, and we will see you again tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. You are welcome here at this Comics Coffee Table. Pull up a chair and tell us what you're sticking under your nose today. Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. We will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.